Imagine it's 2:03 in the morning. Across America, the lights flicker and die. One moment, the familiar glow of civilization. The next, a suffocating, absolute darkness. Most of the country is asleep, completely unaware that their world has just been turned upside down. In bustling city apartments and quiet rural homes, everything stops. Alarm clocks freeze. Cell phones lose their signal. That constant, comforting hum of modern life vanishes, replaced by an unsettling, eerie silence. At first, it's just confusion. Power outages happen, right? But as the minutes tick by and nothing comes back on, a cold unease starts to creep in. Emergency generators, designed for this exact moment, fail to start. Car engines refuse to turn over. The first waves of panic begin to ripple through the night as people realize this isn't just a simple blackout. This is something else entirely. The peace of a sleeping nation has been shattered. The countdown to chaos has begun. The cause is an EMP detonation, an electromagnetic pulse. It's invisible, silent, but its effects are immediate and utterly devastating. 1 second, the country is a vibrant network of energy and technology. The next, it's a dead machine. Traffic lights freeze in the middle of their cycle, causing instant collisions. Planes in the sky suddenly lose all contact with air traffic control. Entire cities are plunged into a darkness deeper and more complete than any storm could ever create. Inside hospitals, the situation is catastrophic. Life support machines go silent. Heart monitors flicker out. Doctors and nurses scramble in the dark, trying to save patients with only the most basic, old-fashioned tools. First responders, firefighters, and police are cut off from dispatch. Their radios are dead. Their vehicles won't start. They are isolated, trying to make sense of a city that has fallen silent. In newsrooms, the information hubs of our society, anchors, stare at blank screens. There's nothing to report because there's no way to receive or broadcast information. Journalists, who live and breathe the constant flow of news, are left completely in the dark, both literally and figuratively. Across the nation, people stumble out of their homes, looking for answers in the sky, in their neighbors' faces. But they only find more confusion, more fear. The first real wave of panic starts to build as families realize their cars are just metal boxes. The ATMs are dead, and there is no way to call for help. The constant, reassuring hum of modern life is gone. In its place is an unnatural, deeply unsettling quiet. And in that silence, a terrifying reality sinks in. America has gone dark, and no one knows when or if the lights will ever come back on. In the first 6 hours after the strike, panic spreads like a virus, far faster than any reliable information. Emergency protocols are supposed to kick in, but the very systems designed to coordinate the response are crippled. Government officials scramble to reach one another, resorting to backup radios and handwritten messages. But confusion reigns. No one is sure of the true scale of the disaster. Is this an isolated attack, or is it just the opening move in a much larger war? The president is rushed to a secure, undisclosed location. Military leaders activate continuity of government plans, desperately trying to maintain control while facing a terrifying unknown. Hospitals are paralyzed. They're forced to operate by candlelight, without any functioning modern equipment. Doctors and nurses do their absolute best, but their supplies are dwindling fast, and the most vulnerable patients, the elderly, the chronically ill, are at the greatest risk. Airports are frozen in time, planes are grounded on dark runways, and thousands of passengers are stranded with no way to leave and no way to call their loved ones. In the cities, police and firefighters try to maintain some semblance of order, but without working vehicles or communication, their efforts feel hopelessly small against a rising tide of chaos. As the hours drag on, rumors begin to swirl. Fear grows with every whisper. People begin to line up at gas stations and grocery stores, only to find the doors locked, the pumps dead, and the shelves already being cleared out. With every passing minute, the risk of a complete societal collapse grows. The nation is teetering on the very edge of chaos, desperate for leadership, for answers, and for any glimmer of hope. As the blackout stretches into its second day, the entire world's attention is riveted on the United States. Deep inside the White House's Emergency Command Center, top officials work by flashlight and lanterns, piecing together the few fragments of information they have. The president addresses the nation via an emergency radio broadcast, his voice a beacon in the darkness, urging calm and promising that every available resource is being mobilized to restore order. The military, operating on hardened backup systems, escalates its readiness level to DEFCON 2, just one step shy of all-out war. Strategic bombers are readied for takeoff. Nuclear submarines are repositioned. Missile silos are placed on high alert. Simultaneously, National Guard units are deployed across the country, their mission to maintain order and protect what's left of our critical infrastructure. Meanwhile, diplomatic hotlines between Washington, Moscow, Beijing, and European capitals are burning with activity. America's allies offer support, but they also demand answers. Was this a natural phenomenon, a sophisticated cyber attack, or an overt act of war? America's rivals watch closely, weighing their own options, their own advantages. Russia and China place their militaries on high alert, fearing that the instability in the U.S. could spill across their borders or trigger an unintended catastrophic escalation. At the United Nations, emergency sessions are called, but finding any consensus is impossible in the confusion. The world's media explodes with speculation. News anchors on international networks debate the blackout's origin. Analysts warn of cascading global economic effects, and social media, where it still functions in other parts of the world, becomes a breeding ground for wild rumors and dangerous conspiracy theories. Some world leaders call for restraint, warning that panic could lead to a global disaster. Others, fearing that this is just the first of more attacks, urge immediate and decisive retaliation. The contrast is stark, a desperate hope for calm versus the steady, ominous drumbeat of war. One wrong move, one misinterpreted signal, could trigger a global chain reaction that no one can control. By day 2, the true weight of the crisis settles over the nation like a physical presence. Without power, our intricate supply chains have ground to a complete halt. Grocery stores that were open are stripped bare within hours. Clean water becomes a precious, dwindling commodity as municipal pumps fail. Gas stations are shuttered, and long, desperate lines form at any place rumored to have supplies. The spread of misinformation is relentless. Wild stories circulate by word of mouth, and on the few battery-powered radios still working, tales of further attacks, foreign invasions, and a complete government collapse. With no way to verify what's true, fear and suspicion poison the air. Yet, in the midst of this darkness, flickers of light emerge. In some neighborhoods, communities pull together, pooling their resources and organizing the watch groups to protect the vulnerable. Neighbors who were once strangers now share food, water, and information, finding strength and hope in their unity. But in other places, desperation breeds chaos. Looting erupts in city centers. Fights break out over the last can of food or bottle of water. Law enforcement, already stretched impossibly thin, is forced to make heartbreaking choices about where to deploy their limited resources. Some officers, faced with an impossible situation, abandon their posts to protect their own families. Others stand firm, a thin blue line against the encroaching darkness, determined to maintain order no matter the cost. Hospitals are now scenes of quiet desperation. The sick and injured wait in the long, silent lines for even the most basic care. The elderly and those with chronic health conditions are at the greatest risk, their lives hanging by a thread. As night falls again, the darkness feels heavier, more permanent. The sense of isolation deepens. The next 24 hours could decide the fate of millions. Will society hold together, or will the cracks finally shatter, plunging the nation into an abyss of chaos? The United States stands at a crossroads, with hope and fear locked in a desperate struggle for survival. As the crisis enters its third day, America faces its defining moment. Deep in fortified government bunkers, the nation's leaders are locked in a high stakes debate. Should they retaliate against the suspected adversaries, risking a wider, potentially global war, or should they pursue a diplomatic breakthrough that could de escalate the situation? Intelligence reports are conflicting, and the pressure to act is immense. Military advisors warn that any hesitation could be seen as weakness, inviting further aggression. Diplomats argue that a single miscalculation, a single missile fired in anger, could ignite World War III. On the streets, the tension is a physical thing you can feel. Some citizens cling to hope, organizing relief efforts, searching for loved ones, and sharing what little they have. Others brace for the worst, convinced that another, even more devastating attack is imminent. You can see the conflict in the anxious faces of families huddled in shelters, hear it in the hurried whispers of officials, and feel it in the relentless hum of emergency broadcasts urging calm. Internationally, allies and rivals alike are watching, waiting for America's next move. Some are urging restraint, offering to mediate and help restore order. Others are quietly preparing for the possibility of conflict spreading beyond U.S. borders. The momentum is building, pushing us toward a wider war, but the hope for recovery, for a peaceful resolution, is still alive. In these critical hours, the fate of a nation, and perhaps the world, hangs in the balance. The choices made today, by leaders and citizens alike, will shape the future for generations to come. This isn't the first time our modern world has been plunged into darkness. History is filled with moments when our reliance on technology was shown to be a fragile thing. The Great Northeast Blackout of 1965, the rolling blackouts in California, the cyber attacks that crippled Ukraine's power grid, all of these were warnings. They revealed just how vulnerable we are. During the Cold War, terrifying standoffs like the Cuban Missile Crisis showed how quickly miscommunication and fear could push the entire world to the brink of annihilation. Each time, disaster was averted, sometimes through resilience and cooperation, and other times through sheer luck. Yet, as this new crisis unfolds, it feels like we're repeating the same old mistakes: complacency before the event, poor communication during it, and the temptation to respond to fear with overwhelming force. The lessons of history are clear. Societies that adapt, that share information openly, and that seek peaceful solutions are the ones that survive and thrive. But when panic and mistrust take over, chaos is never far behind. The first 72 hours of this crisis are just the beginning. The choices we make right now, as individuals and as a nation, will echo for generations. They will shape not only the fate of this country, but the course of global history. In a world where technology can be both our greatest shield and our most devastating weapon, awareness is our best defense. Stay informed, question what you hear, and never, ever underestimate the power and impact of a single decision. The story of this crisis is still being written. Its ending depends on the wisdom, the courage, and the humanity of everyone involved. The future is unwritten. Let's make it one of resilience, of reason, and of hope. Thanks for watching. If this story made you think, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more content that explores the critical issues of our time. Stay safe and stay aware.